Citizens of Gaza cannot assemble in protest of their own government, cannot do or say what they want, or practice whatever religion they want, or have a free press. All rights guaranteed in just our First Amendment. The irony is in all this is that the world the founders birthed, flawed though it may be, provides the bedrock for everything that makes life good for the very people who hate them so much.
Bill Maher just set his sights on the younger generation, and he didn't hold back. The unapologetic comedian torched them for hating America and blaming the nation for every problem in the world. He delivered blow after blow, unleashing a series of fiery attacks aimed directly at fragile woke youth. Brace yourself, things are about to get intense.
Democrats did this year was finding their patriotism again. If you told me a year ago that if Kamala Harris would be the nominee and in her acceptance speech she would use the word privilege, I would not have guessed that she used it the way she did.
The greatest privilege on earth. The privilege and pride of being an American.
Yeah, and Tim Walz also began his speech with a great line saying, "We're all here tonight for one beautiful, simple reason. We love this country." And yet this message doesn't seem to be catching on with a lot of the younger people. None of them are standing up and screaming, "That's my country." Quite the reverse. Quite the reverse. The protests that started off as justice for Palestine have morphed into a broader kind of America is the problem. The whole world thing.
Let's be honest, the young woke crowd didn't just wake up one day and decide to hate America. They inherited that mindset. From classrooms to living rooms, they watched parents, professors, and self-proclaimed thought leaders mock and tear down this country nonstop. That negativity slowly seeped in, and now they wear their disdain like a badge of honor. The hypocrisy is plain as day. Celebrities throwing public tantrums, threatening to leave America because it won't cater to their every demand. Whether it's insisting biological men compete in women's sports or pushing extreme abortion policies, the younger generation soaked it all up, and now they echo it back louder, angrier, and even more ungrateful.
Pro-Palestine rally in Seattle, and when the rapper Macklemore said, "America," everybody loved it.
Yeah, America.
Yeah, I'm sure it was a big hit with the Queers for Gaza crowd. Literally advocating for a government that would imprison you or kill you for being queer, from the safety and security of a country that doesn't.
May shines a spotlight on the absurdity of the woke youth who condemn America simply for standing with Israel. In their twisted narrative, the U.S. becomes the villain, while Hamas, the very group they rush to defend, gets a free pass. The irony is glaring. These same activists march proudly with rainbow flags, yet fail to grasp that Hamas would persecute, silence, or even eradicate them for being queer. Ma tears through the delusion, pointing out that their blind hatred of America puts them in step with forces that openly deny their very right to exist.
The only place in the world where a white guy from the suburbs could become a millionaire rapper, because here every person, regardless of race, class, or gender, has the right to be talent-free. And guess what document allows you to protest and chant, "Hey, hey, ho, ho," followed by something really stupid? Yeah, Constitution Day was last week. It's an actual federal holiday, but no one noticed, despite the fact that it's probably the greatest legal document ever. Is it flawed? Of course. It was written by humans, and they were all white men, as depicted in this illustration from Google AI.
The woke youth often overlook is that, despite its imperfections, America still stands as one of the greatest nations on earth for freedom and opportunity. Nowhere else offers the same mix of protection, privilege, and possibility. The American dream is very much alive, though it demands grit, sacrifice, and hard work. It allows anyone determined enough to rise above their circumstances. That promise isn't just a catchphrase. It's rooted in the Constitution, a document built to preserve liberty for generations. Instead of tearing America down, maybe it's time to recognize and value the extraordinary rights and opportunities that millions around the world can only wish for.
The actual ideas in it. I won't hold my breath for that, because only 14% of 8th graders are proficient in history now, and only 22% in civics, which may be why 4 in 10 Gen Zers say the authors of the Constitution are best described as villains. Wow. It's amazing, since in 1776, James Monroe was 18. Alexander Hamilton was 21 and James Madison 25. Joe Biden was only 30.
Course. No Maher takedown would be complete without a shot at President Joe Biden's age. Maher has consistently been one of the few voices on the left, willing to say openly what many only whispered, that Biden isn't just getting older, he's clearly declining. While Democratic allies tried to sell Americans on the idea that Biden was sharp, steady, and fully in command, Maher kept raising the alarm. He highlighted the gaffes, the stumbles, and the moments of confusion that others desperately tried to ignore. Agree with him or not, Maher refused to join the Sheridan. He was sounding the warning long before the mainstream media dared to admit it.
They were the Gen Z of their day. And when they were your age, they started a country. What the fuck have you done? So no, the Constitution isn't perfect because it wasn't written by Taylor Swift, but and yes, the founders made excruciating compromises, obviously slavery. But slavery was a deal breaker for the southern states. So there would have been two countries. And then to end slavery in North America, it would have involved invading a sovereign nation instead of having the moral high ground of keeping a union together. Would that have been better? History's complicated, and Gen Z reasoning is
highlights what he sees as a major flaw in woke Gen Z's thinking: their fixation on judging the framers of the Constitution by modern standards. They wield slavery as a weapon to discredit the Founding Fathers, as if those men should have acted with 21st century hindsight while struggling to hold a fragile new nation together. Ma argues the founders understood that abolishing slavery at the country's birth would have torn the republic apart before it had a chance to survive. Was it morally perfect? No, but it was a strategic decision to preserve unity and create space for gradual progress. The Constitution itself laid the groundwork for eventual freedom. Yet instead of acknowledging that historical complexity, woke Gen Z reduces the founders to villains, ignoring the imperfect but visionary foundation that made today's liberties possible.
Just simplistic. They know two things. White people did some very bad things, and no, that's it. That's all they know. That's nothing.
I don't pin all the blame on Gen Z for their warped view of history. Hollywood deserves plenty of it. For decades, the film industry has cranked out slavery-focused stories that often exaggerate or dramatize events for emotional impact and cinematic flair. That's Hollywood's job: to entertain first, inform second. Even documentaries, supposedly grounded in fact, frequently bend narratives just enough to grab attention, stir outrage, and rack up views. The problem is, younger audiences consume this content uncritically, mistaking dramatized scenes and exaggerated portrayals for hard history. Woke Gen Z then takes those distortions, turns them into slogans, and shouts them as undeniable truths. Instead of digging into the real complexities of history, they're reciting Hollywood scripts. And Ma isn't shy about calling that out.
That too. But I also know other things. Like how in 1776, slavery was a lot like flying private today. If you could afford to, you would have done it too. Everybody did it, of all races, throughout history, in the Bible, and all over the world. If you hate George Washington for slavery, are you prepared to hate the woman king? Because her empire was built on it too. And where do you imagine is this place, outside of your brilliant, pure minds, that's so much better than America? At least America self-corrects, a mechanism for which was actually written into
is right. The loudest critics of the Founding Fathers often ignore the historical reality. Condemning them for not abolishing slavery immediately, or for being slaveholders themselves, is easy with modern hindsight. But had those same critics lived in the 18th century, chances are they wouldn't have done any better, and likely worse, since slavery wasn't just accepted, it was the norm. Across civilizations, from philosophers to monarchs to military leaders, slavery was tragically common. That doesn't excuse it, but it does provide context. The founders were products of their time, yet they still wrote a constitution that laid the groundwork for eventual abolition. Instead of vilifying them through today's lens, we should recognize the flawed but groundbreaking vision they left behind.
Gaza cannot assemble in protest of their own government, cannot do or say what they want, or practice whatever religion they want, or have a free press. All rights guaranteed in just our First Amendment. The irony is in all this is that The world the founders birthed, flawed though it may be, provides the bedrock for everything that makes life good for the very people who hate them so much.
Bill makes a sharp and undeniable point. Woke Gen Z enjoys the very freedoms guaranteed by the Constitution, the same Constitution written by the Founding Fathers they love to condemn. Their right to protest, to speak freely, to march in the streets without fear of prison or execution, all of it exists because of the framework those men built. Yet, in their misguided activism, they throw support behind regimes like Palestine's, while conveniently ignoring that such governments grant nothing close to those freedoms. In the very places they glorify, free speech is crushed, dissent is silenced, and personal liberty is non-existent. The irony couldn't be more glaring. They condemn America while enjoying its liberties, all while championing regimes that would strip away every right they take for granted. That's hypocrisy in its purest form.
Take for granted individual liberty, a Bill of Rights, the rule of law, checks and balances, getting a trial by jury, the peaceful transfer of power, protecting minority rights, and democracy itself. But those are the things that make our pampered, privileged, bratty lives so relatively cushy. No one starves here. Even our poor people are fat.
With all the food programs, safety nets, and welfare systems in America, it's almost impossible for someone to starve involuntarily. The system isn't flawless, but it does ensure that no one is completely denied the basics. Food banks, shelters, government aid, and countless private charities step up every day to meet people's needs. Contrast that with many parts of the world, where poverty is crushing, families go days without food, and clean water itself is a luxury. Yet, ironically, some Gen Z activists hold up those very countries as somehow better than America. They romanticize systems that can't even provide basic human security, while dismissing the abundance and opportunity available at home. The truth is, even America's poor and homeless live under conditions far better than millions abroad. That's not spin, it's reality, and it's something to value, not ridiculed.
Has to be bribed. Anyone can get rich. The cops are flawed, but we're not a police state. The drinks don't make you go blind, and no one pushes you out of a window for a bad Yelp review. Our government takes a lot and a lot, but it also gives a lot. Healthcare, retirement, money, unemployment, disability, college grants, food stamps. Maybe in the blissfully perspective-free mind, this all adds up to a low bar that America has reached. But you have to ask, why do millions of people every year risk their lives to come here?
America is far from perfect. It has its flaws, divisions, and ongoing struggles. But even with all that, it still stands as one of the strongest nations in the world, with unmatched economic structures and institutions. That's why people aren't fleeing from America, they're rushing to it. For millions across the globe, this country represents hope, freedom, and the chance at prosperity they could never find at home. Many would give anything just to experience a fraction of what we often take for granted. I've seen immigrant parents who sacrificed everything, comfort, even their safety so their children could grow up in America. They endure hardship gladly, knowing the opportunities here outweigh anything they left behind. That's the power of this nation, and it's why so many risk it all to be part of it. And with that, we wrap up today's video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.